All right, very good. Well, hello, everybody. Just kind of point of order here right from the get-go. Um, Appreciate y'all joining the webinar today. Oh, there we go. Getting this thing moving. Just kind of point of order before we do intros. Uh, any questions along the way? We do have a third person that's kind of hiding here behind the curtain with us. And she's going to be there. If you got any questions pop into your head along the way here, just go ahead. Feel free to jump into the chat function there down at the bottom, and we'll kind of answer your questions as we go. And then of course we can chat a little bit at the end. But just kind of get this thing going. My name's Ken Campbell, Business Development Manager over here at Accelerant. I am a veteran of the publishing business and kind of made the pivot to the digital side about 7 years ago. Actually hired Accelerant as my digital partner at one point when I was on the newspaper side. And last 3 years, I've been over here um, preaching the gospel of digital marketing and Accelerant around the country to my publishing colleagues. So, Brooke, you want to say hello?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Nevels. I am also a business development manager here at Accelerate. I work primarily with our agency and tech companies, and that's what my history is here. And now I am preaching the gospel with Ken.
Amen, sister. Can I get an amen? All right, agenda. Kind of give us a little top to bottom real quick here, Brooke, what we're going to kind of cover today.
Yeah, absolutely. So today, again, our webinar is called How to Choose a Digital Partner for the Long Haul. So this is meant to be very informative to talk about, of course, we'll start with who is Accelerant, who are you chatting with today, but then we're going to talk about quality control actions that your partner, your digital partner should be taking to ensure the success of you and your clients' campaigns, how to utilize AI to elevate your sales team. Also, we're going to talk about, which is one of my favorites, the security compliance measures that your digital partner is taking to keep your advertiser data safe. And then, of course, we will finish off talking about different sales enablement tools that we personally here believe that we see a lot of great success on our side having for you, and also the types of reporting dashboards that should be telling a story as well as being the most transparent for your clients.
Yeah, good top to bottom there, Brooke. The one thing I do like in here, we are going to talk about AI. So for everybody that's in the webinar right now, if you're like me, you've been on a lot of webinars that talks about AI, and I find that conversation often gets very wonky, very nerdy. One thing I'll promise y'all today, when we talk about it, it's going to be like real world, very easy to understand, and like literally how it's going to make your life better, and kind of how we leverage that particular tool. So as Brooke kind of teed me up there, a little introduction in terms of Accelerants. We are a technology and marketing company that has the goal of making the complex simple. And what we've done really here over the last decade or so is built what you see on screen there, which is kind of a front to back solution. Really kind of best in class technology, but then really what you need still to sell in this world today, which is human beings, to have conversations with human beings. And that requires education, that requires operational support, people to pull the levers. So we've really kind of built a system that's got all that. Most of the team is in Denver, Colorado. That's my little background behind me. Probably a dead giveaway with this redneck accent. I do not live in Denver. So I live in South Carolina. I'm one of our remote employees, but most of the team is there. My colleague over here, Brooke, is from Atlanta, the ATL baby. We're far flung, but most of the team is in Denver. Over 200 people that really support all of our publishing and agency partners in the mission of bringing digital marketing, quality Madison Avenue level digital marketing down to Main Street businesses. So that's really our goal and mission. You can see some of the accolades on screen. We're growing like crazy. 7 years on the Inc. 5000 list. Big trophy case. Won't go into it today, but we're really proud of our 500, almost 600 media partnerships. And really, what we do, just kind of button this up. This is our world. So we we do sales enablement. We teach, we train, we execute on the campaigns, we button it up with reporting, and then we help our partners really deliver this huge product deck of all the different things that are out there in digital marketing, and it just continues to grow. And we try to stay on the leading edge of it. So there you go. There's your paid for by Ed Celeron. There's your commercial. Okay. So, Brooke, let's get right into the nuts and bolts here. So let's talk a little bit about quality control, because it's something that I don't think is discussed enough, but it's really, really important in terms of um, you know, just buying quality campaigns that are going to perform. So let's kind of dive in.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Ken. So, first of all, just to start this off, why is quality control important? Not all digital is created equal. We all know that there can be smokes and mirrors at times. So, what kind of quality control items can you look for in your digital partner in order to respond to your clients' really pressing questions, which are going to be, where are my ads showing up? Who is actually running my ads? What actions are being taken to protect my investment? And also, what kinds of guarantees do I have? I feel like this all really just buttons down to credibility of your agency or your publishing company, your broadcast company, as well as, your client's return on ad spend. So, wanted to dive into programmatic. There's a lot of great different quality control items you can look for. And full transparency, these are all features that we do offer here at AdCellerant. So, whether you are our partner or not, these are all very important things to look out for. And first thing is going to be our Quantcast Top 5,000 sites. Just a quick synopsis of this. These are going to be the top 5,000 sites and apps representing the most widely accessed websites according to Quantcast data, aka best inventory, and the ones that'll lead hopefully the most impressions, the best conversions. There's also going to be day parting, which I also call aka no sketchy times of the night. These are going to be ads delivered outside of that 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. local time, which means higher internet usage, and then also it's going to lead to a higher share of voice. There's next going to be regularly curated block lists. We all know that there are undesirable websites out there, whether they be inappropriate content or, maybe they're just obscure gaming sites that we don't necessarily want our ads appearing on. And we want to avoid those, which is something that we do here at AdCellerant, and keep those very up to date. Above the fold, ads that appear above the fold. So when you go on a site, that are on the higher part of your screen, those have a 73% visibility rate, whereas below the fold has a 44% visibility rate. So
I didn't even know the numbers were that dramatic, bro. That's wild.
Yeah, you when you go on a site or an app, you usually aren't always scrolling down. It's kind of what you see first is what you're going to pay attention to. So I know, kind of dramatic, some specs there. And that you want to make sure that you can tell your client that their inventory is appearing above the fold. Again, another quality control item we take here. There is going to be click-through rate guarantees. Look for partners that provide those key performance indicators, such as ours is at least a 0.1% click-through rate for our programmatic display campaigns, But then for programmatic, we also don't only guarantee impressions, which isn't even an industry standard. It is something that we are doing, but we like to take that one step farther and actually guarantee clicks, just as an additional level of confidence in that product. My last one that I'm going to chat about for programmatic is just going to be frequency capping. So that's going to just control the amount of time that someone is getting your ad to make sure it's getting to a diverse group.
So we don't want to deliver 30 ads to the same person one day.
If you send me 30 ads in one day, I'll cry. So don't do it.
This is really good. And one thing I learned, as I kind of I started my digital journey, like I said, about 7 years ago in this space. And, one thing I learned, when I went in, I was really ignorant about it. And I just thought, hey, you buy targeted ads, it just goes into the big bucket and we're all in the same pool together. Not so. Not all networks are the same. Not all the people you're going to do business with in the digital space have all of these quality controls in place. So it's really, like I said, it took me a few years to learn it, but yeah, all targeted ads are not the same. So, but what about kind of the managing of the campaign? So you get it up and running, you've got these controls in place. Okay, what next?
Yes, absolutely. So this comes back to that question of like, who is actually running our campaigns? So as you can see, there's a lot of very important questions here. And the first three kind of always lead me back to the same, topic. So it's going to be, does your digital partner require a certain amount of years of experience for campaign managers? One, can the partner speak to the turnover rate of their campaign managers, as well as do the campaign managers get training? So when you speak to turnover rate and you talk to about these campaign managers getting training, this all boils down to when campaign managers have high turnover, when they have high or not proper training, that's when mistakes start happening, which is what we want to avoid. That's when, ads will start showing up in the wrong places, or it's not for the right advertiser, maybe not launching on time, is when, those campaign managers aren't, there for a while with a lot of experience. So having required number of experience and training ensures that this doesn't happen, just because the more you train and the more that you have people there for the long haul, the higher quality you're going to get for those. Now, moving that along to how easy is it to communicate with the campaign managers? What I always say is that for us having in-house and all US based campaign managers, it's awesome, but also having the communication be in our proprietary platform called UI.marketing, you're having that direct communication with the campaign manager. What that means is that there's no game of like telephone, of like he said, she said. You are talking directly to the campaign manager, as well as nothing is getting lost in translation. Moving right along. So, what emphasis do the campaign managers put on pixels? And while I go through all of this, I want everyone to really think like, what is your current campaign management process? What is your partner, your digital partner? What is their process as well while we kind of go through these? Because a few might stick out to you a little bit more than others. But our, synopsis for pixels is that pixels are very, very important, and your partner should accentuate how important they are. If a pixel is placed correctly, of course, it's going to show conversions and track conversions, but campaigns are 66% more likely to renew, which to me, we want to talk about like gaudy percentages. Like I think that one is, crazy, that you're that much more likely to renew if a pixel is placed, just because it'll lead to more transparent reporting, it'll lead to more conversions, and really write that story for your client. So I know that our campaign managers always get really into that pixel placement to make sure. And then just to kind of cap off these campaign management questions, there's going to be, assigning campaign managers based off what they're good at, their industry knowledge, but also making sure that campaign managers don't have way too much on their plate. We are definitely a big focus of quality over quantity. So we want to make sure that, their bandwidth can support, the quality that we want to support. And the final one is how are campaign managers paid? Here at Accelerant, we always talk about this when we're talking to our partners, that our campaign managers are paid like salespeople. So they are financially incentivized by not only the success of the campaign, but also just that overall communication, how fast they get back to you, et cetera.
Yeah, Brooke, let me kind of bring this home for you with kind of some real world. So, when it comes to the actual management of the campaigns, well, first of all, I'm guessing a lot of people that are on this webinar, they same thing might have gone through that some other folks had here that went through mine, which was, I remember when I did business with a digital partner, I never spoke to a campaign manager. I didn't know who was running my stuff. I sent the order in and it went into the algorithm world or whatever. So I never really had any contact with somebody. So yeah, I think when you're picking a partner, you want to do business with a company that's going to give you access to the expert level folks that are actually running that campaign. I think that's absolutely hugely important. In fact, I remember when I first hired Accelerant, one of the first things that really tripped me out was I got an email from a campaign manager who I never met, who was like, "Hey, noticed your campaign wasn't, the results are kind of dropping off. Our CTR is kind of dipping. We have some suggestions. Want to make sure you're okay with that." I was like, "What in the world is happening?" So yeah, it's again, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later. Automation, AI. Where do we need to automate? Where do we still need a little human touch? Again, I think we'll dive into those issues a little bit further. So, kind of wrapping this up, Brooke, kind of touch base on these.
Yeah, and not to go rogue, but just to add one more point there, we definitely want to have campaign managers, and you can probably attest to this, that will say something like if they have an idea. Like we don't want them to be like, that sounds good, that sounds good, that sounds good. But like if a creative like isn't it, and it doesn't look like something that they would recommend, we want campaign managers who are going to ping you and say, hey, like looking at this creative, I feel like we could have like a better call to action, or we could have it look a little different. Definitely want to have that more like consultative approach.
Sure.
And then, yeah, just as like some miscellaneous quality control measures to remember, the greatest quality control is going to be having actual people running your campaigns and making sure they're not just automated. The people is the utmost quality control. There's also going to be brand safety. So things like we have, these third party essentially sites or, relationships with like Double Verify, Peer 39, Grape Shot. And these third party apps are essentially going to block ads from being delivered to offensive or objectionable websites. And they're going to keep the digital advertising ecosystem stronger and safer and just overall more secure. And I do want to point out, like at least when you are our partner, that's going to mean we're already doing this. So like, it's not something that you have to go do. We take care of like being members and, certified with having all these different technologies. And then moving on, Human, also formerly known as White Ops, just another, third party thing that I wanted to mention. This is going to mean that all impressions are screened before the bids go out. So again, just an additional level of quality control. The DSP matters. We primarily utilize for a lot of our programmatic the Trade Desk, which we utilize them not only for their extensive, inventory as well as the quality inventory, but they're also, making sure that they're like prepping for, the cookieless future. And we just like to make sure that we're utilizing those types of quality DSPs. And we will talk more about fraud prevention and security compliance tactics, but really want to make sure that those are real impressions that you can report on to your client. But that is going to be, our highlights for quality control. As Ken mentioned, he is going to talk next about AI, but I think you're going to make it cool in a way, is what you were saying.
I don't know how cool I can make it, but I can certainly dumb it down because that's absolutely what I needed to be able to understand the strengths. So really, what I want to talk about in my little section here is just kind of the difference between like what is automation, why is that important? Where does AI factor in? Can I understand it? Is it difficult to use? All those issues. I mean, at the end of the day, what we need as salespeople out here in the digital world, we've got to have the ability to build proposals, to do kind of the media planning side. After you sell it to them, you got to talk to them about it. You got to, you're fighting for that renewal every 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. So you got to have good analysis and reporting. And then you got to be able to kind of tell a story about it. So, again, it's kind of I guess the running theme we've got here, right, Brooke, yeah, the technology's great. Technology's great. Got to have it. But you got to have the human touch throughout. It's really, really still vitally important. So with us, let's kind of talk about automation again, kind of that string where it's the automation side, it's leveraging some technology, which would include the software, the platform, and any AI tools to make things easier. And then again, what you've already addressed on the campaign management side, which is human oversight. We really extend that, and we'll talk about it a little bit deeper when we get into kind of sales enablement, but we actually extend our assistance to partners kind of beyond just the pulling and pulling of the pulleys there on the digital management side of the campaign, but the actual sales side of it, like assisting our partners in selling. Again, the whole theme of this thing is how to pick a digital partner. Well, I think I want a digital partner that's going to put a salesperson on a Zoom call with me next to my customer and get in the trenches and help me sell. So what I'm going to do here, let's get off of the slide deck for a minute. I'm actually going to show y'all how we can use automation. So let's talk about automation. So here's my thing. I'm going to date myself here, Brooke. I remember when they came out with PowerPoint. Oh God. It was an amazing a launch by Microsoft, and it was just this amazing new tool that we could use to build proposals when we were, really just, kind of doing it on a dock. So we could bring in graphics and automate and like make things move. And it was so cool. But the downside of that, super, super time intensive, like very, very long time to be able to design things. What we've really done here is kind of leveraged automation to take that great tool and turn a few clicks into a fully built a media planning guide and a proposal. So what I did here, I built one, obviously to kind of tee us up here. I picked up pediatrics and by design. You're going to talk a little bit about compliance, making sure you stay in compliance. Well, no area segment, is that more important than in healthcare? There's some things you can do, some things you can't do. Not everybody's kind of watching their step in this area. We take it very seriously. We have a full-time compliance manager who's awesome and is keeping this company in line, protecting our partners downstream, and obviously the right down to the business level. So what I did here, built a little proposal. This took me a few clicks, y'all, in our tool. So I built a programmatic campaign. You can see that up here. I also did a little local SEO, kind of managed their Google profile for them. So I went in here, kind of built out a 6-month proposal, pediatrics office, $1,500 a month. Seems like a pretty reasonable ad spend. When I went into targeting, you can see our little bit of our AI portion. The tool essentially picks some good targets for a pediatric office to target. So on the content side, some local news sites, behavioral. And by the way, Brooke, you mentioned the Trade Desk. Trade Desk allows us to leverage so many data partners. There's a million different targeting elements that we can access in here. Again, good quality inventory. But check this out. Like, this is trippy. Pediatric, like, people actually in a database that they're looking for a new pediatrician. Like, so it's not just the broad brush, and we can go broad brush. You can see down here, we can target people with young children, age 0 to 3, first-time parents, little older children. We can target by income, but to me, the creepiest and craziest part is we can actually target people who have been identified based on their own online behaviors of actually looking for a new pediatrician. So pretty good sales pitch of this particular company. So once all of that is done, I can review my proposal. I can go ahead and click here and export that. So obviously I've already done that already. So let's jump over to kind of what the output looks like. So let me go up here. This is kind of how we do it. So again, you got to think about it. Go back to the days when I had to build my own PowerPoints. It took hours and hours and hours. Literally a few clicks, bing, 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 select everything, output. And this is what our automation does. So overview slide that we can customize here. If we've had a good CNA, I can kind of customize this a little bit. Little preview of kind of where the digital products fit in, but then we really get into nuts and bolts right here. So here's my display campaign. What is it? Make it really super easy and visual. Show the geographic targeting, show the budget, show the impressions, flight dates. And then again, all these consumer databases that I've chosen to select. You can review this with the customer, kind of redline those, make sure they're in line with the campaign goals. And then obviously any other products I've added a local SEO here. Again, visually, what is that? Kind of explain it in very, very few words, keep it high level. Again, budget, flight dates, little slide on reporting, little rah-rah about, you as a company out there. And then just kind of an agency level recap here, your media mix, the overall dollars on the proposal, terms and conditions page if you want it, and then thank you, and stick your hand out and give me the deal. So love that as a time saver, because again, when I compare that just to even a few years ago, from a few clicks to a fully built proposal that's ready to go, pretty amazing. So that's kind of automation. But what about AI? So again, I promised Brooke, I promised I was going to keep the AI like understandable. So, to me, what Adcellerant's trying to do is use AI where appropriate. And it should always be, the goal should be to make things more efficient. So I'm on our reporting dashboard here, as you can see. And again, as you'll talk about a little bit later, our dashboard, very, very transparent, gives you a ton of data. You might not necessarily want to share every piece of this all at once. It may be over the head of some of your customers. So we've got some tools in here to be able to simplify this, customize it, share what we want to share. But my favorite new tool that we added, I think it was November 1st of last year, was this nice little summary. So again, reporting is about, and again, Brooke, I know you're going to cover this in a little bit more detail later. It is about telling a story, not just throwing digital data at somebody and expecting them to understand it. So this tool is really great. I can click this summary here on this very long, complex report. You can see my little AI brain is thinking, and what it's doing is it's analyzing this report. And then what it's going to spit me out are some suggested talking points. Here you go. Here's some suggested talking points in each of the reporting areas. Very simple. Like, what's working, like what's highline. So I can take this, turn this into some bullet points for my storytelling, off and running. Now, previous to the AI tool, either the sales rep or the traffic person, or maybe a conversation with your accelerant person. We kind of had to work together to analyze this report visually and kind of come up with our talking points on our own. So this is an amazing time saver. So again, that's AI. It doesn't have to be crazy, crazy complex. Okay, you've heard enough from me. Let's dive into the security and compliance side. Dig a little deeper.
Yes, thank you. So my main point I want to start out here, which our director of compliance, Douglas, always says to me, and I agree, is that compliance is actually super fun and it's very, very interesting. And Ken is laughing at me, but maybe that's just a me and Douglas thing, but it is something that is
Nerd alert.
Oh, it is something that is very important. These are all going to be in compliance topics that we talk about that we find very important at Accelerant, which again, just make sure you're checking out for them. So what is compliance to start out with? Compliance is going to ensure that an organization's employees basically follow certain legal regulations, internal policy, and also ethical standards, like for all their operations. And when you approach compliance thoughtfully and really thoroughly, that is going to catalyze productivity. It's going to drive financial growth and overall just lead to higher retention, higher, brand, building your brand and its quality. And one thing that Douglas always says that again, I think is a cool way to say it is committing wholeheartedly to compliance, just like we are here at Accelerant, paves the way for additional revenue streams. And again, he just says that, you can follow it and make it really really fun for your entire team, and also making sure that everyone is understanding of all of it.
The gospel according to Douglas. I get it.
Douglas is the best. So a couple privacy laws that we're going to send you this deck. I'm not going to read verbatim what all of them are, but these are 3 very important privacy laws that you should be making sure that your digital partner is paying attention to / is following the regulations for. So there's going to be the General Data Protection Regulation, also known as GDPR. That is going to strengthen an individual's rights, accountability, and governance, and basically mandates breach notifications and regulates data, like certain cross-border data transfers, and imposes severe penalties for non-compliance. There's also going to be the California Consumer Privacy Act, which is very similar to GDPR, but it is specific laws that grant California residents even more specific rights and protections regarding their personal information, and that is held by businesses. And we have all heard of, good old HIPAA. So that is going to protect the health information of patients and their privacy and security with that information.
Yeah, for example, that proposal, you notice that pediatric proposal, I didn't have any geofencing built into there because you cannot geofence legally according to those rules, pediatric offices. So,
Right.
yeah, I think the overarching point here, again, if you're talking to a digital partner, you're trying to pick a company, just ask. I mean, just to me, it's as simple as that, right, Brooke? Just ask them. Hey, so where are you guys on privacy laws? Like, tell me about that. And if their answer is might have a problem there.
Yes.
What about certifications? I know there's a lot out there, but I think there's a couple that are really again, according to Douglas, we know they're vitally important.
Yes, of course. So of course, those privacy laws, we need to be compliant with those, but there's actually specific certifications you can get. And not to overkill, but these are not easy certifications to get. They take a long time. They take a lot of man hours, a lot of work to get them. So these are 2 that we're very proud of here at Accelerant. So the first one is going to be the ISO 27001. I just always say the whole number. Maybe that's not right. But so this is going to be a certification that quite literally means that you have committed to the highest security and data protection, and that you're in accordance to the framework specifically of the International Organization of Standardization, and you're certified and following those guidelines with a robust information security management system. So we do have that full accreditation for the ISO. Now, there's also going to be SOC 2, which this is like a report that assesses a company's ability to securely manage and process a customer's data. So this is going to be through the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And they developed SOC 2 to make sure that companies could assess their security and compliance controls. And our final audit for this completes in February. So These two, like, and I want to kind of reiterate what Ken just said. We have, potential partners come to us, and like they have clients, specifically one that I had this last year, even in healthcare, that they wouldn't even have a conversation with us until they could verify that we had, these two certifications. So it just proves that, all of our security is like really, on point. But again, we are processing and handling customer data at the with the utmost care and having like very, very high security walls.
Yeah, it really starts with us, right? Starts with your partner, starts with that digital partner, and that protection by being in compliance and having these certifications really extends all the way down to the individual business, who at the end of the day, let's be honest, it's not Accelerant's name on those ads. It's not, the media partner's name on those ads. It's the business's name on those ads. So we really
Yeah.
want to extend that protection all the way downstream.
Yes. And then just to finish it out with a couple like, easy peasy security reminders is one, as Ken mentioned, make sure your partner is following through with HIPAA guidelines when it comes to device ID. Due to HIPAA, you cannot target, certain like medical hospitals, even like dentists, any kind of medical place, you cannot target it because it shows that certain people were there at a certain time. So just make sure if someone, says that they can do that, that's not compliant, and it does come with a lot of heartache that can come with it later down the road. One thing that I have an extensive history working specifically in the cannabis marketing segment. So one thing that I like to notate is for alternative networks, so aka working in cannabis, casinos, things like that, make sure that you know what is compliant. So we're here to tell you that we're always going to like follow the utmost compliancy guidelines. So for example, cannabis, you can't do paid search on Google. So if you are ever talking to a partner that is telling you that you can do paid search on Google, make sure that you're protecting your client's investment, because that is going to be a very, as we say, it's smoke and mirror situation where it's getting taken down constantly and then pushed back up. So that's my number two. Oh, and then Adcelerant, doing fraud prevention. A lot of clients will ask you, "Hey, how do I know that this is a real impression and not a bot?" There are other third-party, connections that we have, such as Integral Ad Science and Double Verify. So these tools are going to ensure brand safety, viewability, protection against like invalid ad traffic and fraud traffic. And then again, medical, we've said it a bunch. Make sure that you let your medical clients know like how their data is protected from all these different topics that we've gone over. And of course, make sure that you can mention that, make sure your partner offers certain third-party connections, such as Human, again, formerly known as Whiteops, that protects against the bot fraud, which leads to, again, that overarching better campaign quality.
Yeah. And again, Brooke, just, again, I think, in the kind of in the realm of having interviewing, I guess you call it, that digital partner, to me, it's just as simple as asking, right? I mean, this stuff here that you just outlined is so important. So just ask, hey, what's going, talk to me about, bot traffic. How are you guys blocking that? Again, that answer should be right on the tip of the tongue of anybody that you're talking to as a digital partner. So, all right.
Absolutely. And then next we have sales enablement tools. So we've talked a lot about AI. I know we talked about a lot of compliance, quality control. So let's go to sales enablement now.
Yeah, so for us, sales enablement is, really kind of spans everything that you need to be able to sell digital products. So, that's going to cover, everything from kind of the teaching training side, making sure I got the language to be able to pitch properly, all the way down into, well, what do you need to sell? Well, I need one sheeters. I need a slide deck talking about the product. I need, again, whatever that is. Brooke, you got a customer that's like really, they're, again, medical's a great one. They're in the medical field. And they're like, just like you said about that partner. Hey, no, we can't even have a conversation with you until we know you've got the proper certifications. Well, really easy to go into our learning academy, download a one sheet that talks about all of our certifications on security side, top to bottom, and that's white labeled. You drop that on the desk. So having those tools from again, from a sales enablement standpoint, hugely important. We do that through our AdCellerant Academy. We're not going to take a super deep dive into that today, but it is pretty amazing. Thousands of pieces of collateral material, 5, 6, 7 minute videos, not hour-long webinars. This is the longest that we generally go, but for our product training, we keep it very, very light, 5 to 7 minutes. Really, really cool. And then obviously all of those tools. So again, your digital partner in this day and age should have that. They should have a deep deck and database of resources, be able to teach, train, and then again provide that sales support that you need out there on the streets. Additionally, for us on the sales enablement side, and that's part of the reason we're here today, y'all. Having all those resources is great, but look, the cool thing and I don't know, I guess, Brooke, I guess sometimes I find it almost frustrating. Like digital just keeps evolving and it's moving so fast, right? So you can build all those collaterals, you can build a great sales enablement ecosystem, but if it's not growing, and you're not kind of keeping up with the changes that are always coming at you, you got a problem. So one of the things that we've really prided ourselves here as a company at AdCellerant is kind of being thought leaders. And that's part of the reason we're on this webinar today. Like we are always looking around the corner. We're always looking over the horizon. So we continue to organize seminars, webinars, keep talking about these things, what's new, what's hot, what's working. Like you've got to kind of stay with it. So the sales enablement resources are great. We've all got to have that as on the sales side in the media business. But again, at the end of the day, we've got to be able to keep up with, again, just kind of the progression of this particular fast moving world. So we do a ton of that. We do a ton of these, obviously hundreds of them over the course of a year. But then even down into the sales side, our account managers can even engage with our partners and kind of co-host webinars and really kind of multiply that sales effort. At the end of the day, a sales call is still a sales call. It's got to happen here via Zoom. It's got to happen face to face. But man, if you can put 30, 40, 50 people on a co-hosted webinar and talk about product, talk about solutions, you can really make some things move really, really quickly. I got a case study up here. We did this with a partner a while back in 2024. Co-hosted an educational webinar, talked about a bunch of products, and you can see here just the rapid revenue growth that they saw over those 5 months. So it allowed them to make contact with a lot of people really, really quickly. So again, it's just all about employing all the tactics here that are gonna help you grow. Very quickly, I won't spend a ton of time on this, but the other kind of I don't know, I guess kind of the upper tier, the champagne room, so to speak, of of the sales pitch world, is what we do here at AdCellerant, which is kind of helping you go after those large tier accounts. We call it AdCellerant Select. Essentially, in our sales enablement world, it's a kind of a boutique agency within our sales organization. We know you're pitching that account that's going to spend 20, 50, $100 million a year. They expect a higher level of pitch. You got to bring some additional resources. So we've really kind of built that in with our AdCellerant Select team. They bring in all of these analytics to be able to build competitive proposals, competitive analysis, and really just kind of make the proposals really next level, high tier agency. And these, by the way, these tools, y'all, they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to subscribe to all these, and our team leverages them to really kind of set the AdCellerant Select, those whale customers up to the next level. So again, sales enablement, kind of going up the ladder starts pretty simple, with those simple tools, and then kind of really escalates all the way up to here where we're, essentially providing high level agency support on those proposals. So again, it is about, the media sales side, Brooke. So we always have to come back to why we're all here. We're all here to make money. We want to sell more digital deals. And one of the things that took me a very, very long time to understand, get it through my thick skull, my early years of selling, was just firing a report at them and saying, there you go. That doesn't work, right? We've got to create a story.
Yes, absolutely. I think that, the real That's like the huge part of this whole digital process is like, hey, you'll talk, you'll build the story from the beginning, but then the reporting is going to like make that come to life and also show your client like, hey, like by us doing this, this is all the success of your campaigns, which is what everyone wants. So having a partner, again, like the main topic here is choosing a partner for the long haul. So as we mentioned, not all digital is created equal. So reporting is really where you can see where an effective partner is going to, report on certain KPIs, report on certain metrics, as well as, give full transparency of where that data is coming from. Not really like we use the term smoke and mirrors a lot, but not making it like the story is saying something good when actually the numbers are saying something completely opposite. So having a transparent dashboard primarily is going to be the most important, like with a partner you can trust, but also certain logistics. We always say time kills all deals. You want to make sure that reporting dashboard is available 24 hours a day, that it's easily shareable, that it's updating for the client every 24 hours. So as well. And then also, you just want to go backwards
Or
for one thing, and also just want to utilize the reporting summaries just to make sure that yeah, sometimes someone will see a reporting dashboard that even if you edit it to take out certain things that might be too much, they're like, hey, I need like more of a recommendation from this, or I need a little bit more of this in layman's terms. So really like also honing in on like the reporting summaries tool just to send the reporting, but like, hey, in layman's terms, this is what's going on. That just really will make your client, I feel like, appreciate it for kind of spelling it out. And then the storytelling graph that we were just looking at is that we can go to the next one, Ken. Right here is that reporting does have, there's like a specific way that you can discuss reporting and make it interesting. So that's going to be not just one part of this diagram, it's all of them combined. So combining storytelling with also that business's goals, and then as well as a little bit of teaching. Hey, we learned this time around, maybe let's like pivot, let's maybe adjust, let's optimize. And as you can see here, where the way this graph says is that if you only do two of them, like storytelling, and only talk about business goals, you're not really emphasizing value. But then if you do the storytelling and then talk about what you want to do next, it's like, well, hey, what about all the money that I just spent last quarter? What happened to that? And then finally, if you just talk about business goals and teaching, then it's not really like honing in on that emotional side of advertising, which every client has that, it's their business. They have an emotional side to it. So combining all three and then having an efficient dashboard is definitely going to be something to look for.
yeah, 100%. And I can tell you, I experienced this real world. One of my worst missteps. Years ago, I had sold a campaign to a guy that owned a salon and spa. And in those days, I didn't get this, right? I didn't get that I had to keep the story simple. I just thought, man, I'll just share everything with him. And I did. And even though his campaign was really performing well on a couple metrics, and it was absolutely a success by anybody's standard, because I had shared his performance by the type of creative, he honed in and we spent 30 minutes talking about why his vertical banner wasn't getting as many clicks as his horizontal banner. I mean, never mind all the site conversions, never mind all the traffic to his business. We ended up debating that one thing. So yeah, having the story match what you share on the reporting side, man, I'm telling you what, I have lived that. It's hugely, hugely important. So,
Yeah.
kind of getting to the end here. Kind of takeaways. So, Brooke, why don't you start? We'll kind of bounce back and forth here. I know quality control was your thing. Let's kind of talk about what, again, going out the door. What are the nuggets we want our colleagues here on the call to take away?
I feel like you're saying that I'm talking about all the nerdy stuff today, but that's fair. That's true, honestly. So, first key takeaway, which we discussed at the beginning, quality control is important not only for gaining new clients, but for retention and also protecting and really building your agency's brand. It's stuff that people are going to ask you about. So, being able to answer that quickly is going to keep your retention a lot higher as well.
All right. So, since I'm going to talk about AI, I'll be a nerd now. No. So, yeah, look on AI, my mantra now is just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. In many circles, it's kind of over discussed. I find I go to a lot of media conferences and I find the discussions kind of go beyond the pale. They kind of go beyond what's useful. Don't be afraid of it. It really is there. If it's used properly by your digital partner, it's a time-saving tool. So, I mean, that's at the end of the day. again, focus on what's functional, I guess is what I'd say.
Yeah, totally. It's functional. We're not going full iRobot, but making it so that it's more effective for you. For security compliance, again, my main takeaway here is security compliance is cool and it enhances your efficiency and it can also help your business financially as well. Even though it's not always like when someone thinks compliance, they're not like, wow, I'm going to make like so much revenue initially when you talk about it. But actually, having those clients stick around for the long haul, opening doors, such as the example I said that this they had a large healthcare client that like not having certain certifications, like we couldn't even have the conversation. It also opens the door for revenue and overall just makes operations a lot better and less intense.
Yeah, and then obviously on, the training side, it is the number one thing, by the way, that's true on screen there. It is the number one thing that I hear as I talk to obviously a lot of folks in the publishing industry. I know you do more agency, but especially with our media sales companies, publishers, broadcast, radio, training, man. That's what everybody's looking for. They want their teams to be better. They want them to be more conversational about selling this stuff. And there is an art to that. And again, some things can't be automated, y'all. I mean, some things are still human to human interaction. So we've got to be able to teach our salespeople. We pride ourselves in doing that. So whoever you have as a digital partner, they need to be fully up to date and ready to help train up your teams.
And last but not least, transparent reporting always wins. Enough said.
Transparent reporting, but be careful with it. Right?
Yeah.
Oh God. Listen, guys, really enjoyed it today. Kind of a wide-ranging conversation. We really covered a lot of issues. Kind of ranging from the complexities, of the world that we're all living in here and selling in, and then obviously the tools that we need to be successful. So, as you're going out there trying to find your digital partner, we certainly hope that you guys take a hard look at us. But if not, hopefully you've got enough out of this webinar to be able to really kind of level up your knowledge. And as you go into those interviews, again, as I mentioned several times through here, just ask the questions, man. Just don't be afraid. Put people on the spot. Make sure that they're dialed in on these things. And of course, if you want to talk to us further, nice little QR code on the screen there. Pull out your phone. You can connect with somebody on the team. We can kind of take the discussion offline. Brooke, you got anything else? I know our colleague has been answering some questions along the way. So I feel like that's been taken care of. But anything else you want to say as we go out the door here?
No, thank you so much for coming. And again, we understand that sometimes it's more fun to talk things out. So again, utilize the QR code if you ever just have like certain situations you want to talk about, certain clients that you have in your pipeline, or if you have any more questions about compliance or any of the all the certifications and fun stuff we went into today.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Really enjoyed it. Hope you got some nuggets out of that. Happy selling.